Hey rum fans, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm putting the three heavyweights in the Jamaican unaged overproof category up against each other in a head-to-head. Which one of these three is going to end up being my favourite? Let's find out. Now, if you're joining me for the first time in this Jamaican series, let's just have a very quick recap of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my favourite Jamaican sipping rum that I can just have a glass of from time to time. And I'm looking to see if we can actually find the perfect Jamaican rum for a one rum Mai Tai. Does it even exist anymore? Now, you'll see these three bottles down here beside me. These are kind of my pick of the bunch so far, and do you know what, I'm still toying with having Jamaica down there as well, because that is a fantastic rum, it really is. But basically what we've got, I've got two camps here, because the Compagnie des Indes is my kind of favorite neat sipper at the moment. It's kind of light, a little bit of Jamaican pungency, a little bit of Jamaican funk, but it's great, but it doesn't hold up in a Mai Tai, and that's where these come in. Kind of my favourite out and out is that Hampden. It is superb. It's just the price that's getting me at the moment. It's very, very expensive. So kind of like nipping on its heels really closely is that worthy 109. That was a fantastic, fantastic Mai Tai. Not as good as the Hampden 8-year-old, but at less than, well, virtually half the price, bearing in mind that's a litre bottle. So if you kind of do the maths at a 70 cl, it's kind of less than half the price of that. So I can't ignore that. I really can't. And to be brutally honest, that in a one rum Mai Tai is, for me personally, with my palate, still better than the Jamaica. But, you know, the Jamaica is there or thereabouts. Now, I have finished with the aged Jamaican rums in this series. In fact, this will actually be the last out and out Jamaican rum in this series, the overproofs, finishing with the overproofs. But fear not, I have got maybe 4, maybe 5 contenders for this that actually do have Jamaican rum in them. So we haven't quite finished yet on this journey. So let's move swiftly on into these three beasts. WRAY Nephew will need absolutely zero introductions to the vast majority of people watching this video, especially in the UK. I can attest to this. It's been in a supermarket rum for God knows how long. It is pretty cheap. Is it the best out of these three? We shall find out. For me, my palate, we shall find out in this video. But what we've essentially got is the three heavyweights, not only in overproof, but the three heavyweight distillers in Jamaica. We've got WRAY Nephew, Appleton, if you like. We've got Rum Bar, Worthy Park, and we've got Rum Fire, which is Hampden. So three of the big guns when it comes to Jamaican rum are coming out to play here. These are all unaged, and they are all at 63% ABV or 126 proof. Now, we have got a little bit of a price sort of difference along these as well, and it goes true to form with Hampden. We've already seen Hampden is very expensive compared to other rums. Like, to put that, and yes, for me that is better than Appleton 8-year-old, but it is also double the price. So you can expect a bit of price variance here. Now, before we go any further, for those dedicated, those of you that are watching, I want you to dive in the comments straight away. Before I even get the nostrils out and before I even taste these, I want you to dive in the comments and tell me which one of these three is your favourite. Just simply put WRAY, Rum Bar, Rum Fire. Now, what can you expect to pay for these three Jamaican rums? Well, this one you might see in supermarkets. You might even see it cheaper than what I'm about to give you. And remember, these are UK prices, but these two you will have to buy online. You will not even see these in off license or anywhere else. These are online. So these prices come from my good friends, Master of Mole. For those of you watching around the rest of the world, we are very fortunate in the UK that we've got access to multiple fantastic online suppliers. Master of Malt are just my guys. There are plenty of others to choose from. But price-wise, we are talking £29.45 for the WRAY Nephew. We then jump up maybe £4, £4.50 to £33.95 for that. But then we're jumping up £11. £11. So we are jumping up, what, 15, nearly £15 on the Rum Fire, and that is £44.25. To do the comparisons, to translate these around the world, again, I would love to see what you guys are paying around the world, but this comes in at our price at $36.50, $42.54. And then in euros, this is coming in rounded down 34 euros, probably rounding up $40, 40 euros, and then 51 euros for that. So you can see, even in dollars, you know, we are talking, where are we? We're talking we're talking $18 difference between the Rum Fire and the WRAY Nephew. Now, if I thought that Smith and Cross video was bad enough when that sort of Jamaican funk was just flying around my nose, this video is even worse because we've got all three poured here and I've already had a quick whiff. And it is very, very interesting to revisit this a good year, maybe 2 years after I first kind of tasted them, because now for me, on the nose, not on nostrils, and I haven't gone back to watch that video, but there is a very clear difference between the two rums, very clear. If I'm going to put those two head to head, this is way more sort of grassy, more floral on the nostrils, whereas this is just, it's got that same sort of pungency, but kind of just dialed back just very, very slightly. This is, you know, fresh cut grass, or just without sort of dissecting too much. And this is kind of like a more mustier, more sort of a little bit of overripe fruit. But when you bring the Hampden, the Rum Fire into the playground, you know, fruit, there is a little bit of that sort of fresh cut grass kind of vibe going on, but it is tropical fruit. It is by a mile so much more fruitier on the nose, just at a very, very quick whiff compared to the other two. So let's have a little more in-depth kind of nosing before we get onto the taste of each one individually. WRAY Nephew, I'm just going to pick out the obvious here. It's what you'd expect. Again, off the nostrils, this is what we all, yes, I am generalising, but we all associate with Jamaican rum. It is that ester, that glue, that pungency, that funk, that sort of banana-y vibe going on. There's a word that I'm going to use now that I don't think I've used at all in this series so far, and that's the vegetal. The very kind, he's punching down that sort of wavelength, if you like. Well, that's the wrong word, but like that whole a grassy, floral, vegetal kind of thing. It's a very different vibe to what you're getting up here. And yes, there is tropical fruit on it. There is, but compared, even like a quick sort of 5-second nosing of the Rum Fire, it's nowhere near even comparison to that. There is that little bit of pineapple, a little bit of banana on there, but for me, it does punch out in that floral, vegetal, cut grass kind of fresh, wet cut grass kind of vibe. By the way, you're not mistaking that for the alcohol ABV. I'm not saying you're going to pick it as a 63%er, but what I am going to say is that you are 100% going to pick it a lot stronger than Smith and Cross or any of those sort of 57%ers. Now the Rum Bar does have a very similar profile, but I would put, if we're just comparing one thing, and that's going to be for me that fresh cut grass kind of vibe going on for that. It is there, it is presence in this, but that punches out more in that, which means this for me does actually punch out a little bit more in the tropical fruit notes. All those notes that I've described so far in that WRAY Nephew are 100% present in the Rum Bar. They're very, very similar styles, but I would say this one has a little bit more fruit on the nose. And actually, because that doesn't punch it out like floralness and vegetalness like the WRAY Nephew, actually what I probably get is more glue, more solvent kind of vibe coming off this. I think the big thing that I can pick off this is actually more citrusy element to it, and maybe sort of that green apple kind of vibe, that fresh vibe. I'm going to put this, put that way more floral, way more vegetal. That's got the shades of that, but a bit more fruit, glue kind of thing, but you know, and more citrusy, more pear maybe, an apple coming off there. But you know, there's not too much dissimilar between the two. Now, just on the nostrils, a proper smelling of the Rum Fire. This is the first time I've ever owned a bottle of this. I've had it a couple of times at rum festivals, and because when you're at rum festivals, you know, you are smelling, tasting, God knows how many other rums. I don't think I've appreciated that for what it actually is. And just smelling on the nostrils, if this isn't my out and out favourite to taste neat, I'm going to be majorly surprised. This punches out in everything I want. Fruit, pineapple. I'm probably even going papaya. Again, it's not too long ago that I was playing with papaya puree, so I've got that fresh in my mind. And while this has got that sort of funk, pungency, ester kind of vibe going onto it, actually, if you would be forgiven these two to, I'm not saying a rum novice, but someone early doors in their sort of rum journey and said, which one's the Jamaican rum? You're pretty much going with the WRAY Nephew, because while you do get those vibes, That is kind of, because we are so used to WRAY Nephew in the UK, for those of us that have ever kind of gone down that, that's what we expect the overproof unaged Jamaican rum to smell like. This is a very different thing. And I have to say, I was not expecting that at all. That's a really pleasant surprise. I really thought that this could be close, but just on the smell alone, there is one out and out clear winner, and this is the one that I really want to dive into. But I'm going to dive into the WRAY first. Now that is actually a real pleasure sipping neat. It doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't deliver, not in a bad way, but it doesn't deliver how it smells. For me, it delivers in tropical fruit. Yes, that is that feisty kind of alcohol burn going on. And yes, I am used to drinking high ABV spirits now. And I kind of love them. I kind of appreciate them, only in small doses. But I really do love and appreciate and get what those flavors bring out. This brings out a lot of tropical fruit. I'm not saying refined. I'm not saying it's like, you know, infinitely better than what we've tasted there. But I would actually say the tropical fruit notes coming off this, those sort of fresh yellow fruits, papaya, mango maybe a little bit, but definitely pineapple, a little bit banana. They are very pronounced in this. And having not revisited this neat for a very long time, I would actually say it's got a sweetness that I wasn't expecting as well. And obviously these are undosed. They've got no added sugar to them at all. But there is this, and I think that's probably because of the fruity edge to it, there is this lovely kind of sweetness that just rolls over your tongue. That's actually quite delicious. Just to finish that off, on the finish, there's probably a little prickle of spice on there, but nothing remotely close to what I've had so far. And that for me would emphasize the barrel notes, you know, the finishing in some of these rums. That peppery, cinnamony, dry spice that I'm getting is not present in that. It's unaged, you know, it's had no contact with wood, so you're not getting that. Is there any of that grassy, floral, vegetal aroma that I had coming out in the taste? A little bit, but it is more fruit forward for me. So when we come on to the rum bar, that's actually very different to what I was expecting, because I'd actually say now out of the two, the WRAY Nephew is the fruitier one. This has got more of a sort of, how can I phrase that? Like a musty, it's like it's got the fruit there, but it's kind of like a musty fruit, if that makes sense. Basically, not really fresh and ripe and juicy. It's there, just tamed back a little bit. I would say out of the two now, that actually that one's got the more vegetal, floral, grassy kind of notes coming out to it. I'm finding that fascinating already after like 5 minutes of doing this. I'm thinking to myself, how am I not using these more in cocktails? These are going to deliver notes that I just crave when I'm making cocktails now. And it's kind of like, should I be, every cocktail I make for my own palate, should I now be bringing an element of Jamaican, like 10, 15 mil? Should I be bringing an element of Jamaican sort of overproof rum to those cocktails? That's a whole different path to go down. Now, having not watched those videos back from probably 2 years ago now, 18 months, I would say, maybe, I don't know. I remember picking Rum Bar as my favourite out of the two, but that was pretty much mixed. Do you know what? Now, I think I would actually sort of edge towards the WRAY Nephew. I think the WRAY Nephew has got that more fruitier vibe than what I want. Maybe back then I wasn't drinking these neat. Maybe they were in mixers. So I can see where my head was, because perhaps that would bring out too much fruit for what I actually want, simple mixes, whether it was a rum and coke, whether it was like simple juices or anything like that. Juices would be fine, but ginger beers or ginger ales, that kind of vibe, probably where my palate would actually sit as a mixer. But as a neat and actually playing about with fruity cocktails, I think that is potentially where my head is. But now we're coming on to the Rum Fire, and I'm really looking forward to diving in with this one. That is very, very interesting. Having tasted that very, very recently, there is no mistaking that for me as a Hampden rum. That is it's so hard to explain, but that is just shades of that all over. It's got that similar sort of vibe to it. Now, it is delicious, but I don't think it's my favourite. I cannot get over that fruitiness of that WRAY Nephew. This, the fruit on the nose, for me, doesn't really punch out in the taste. I would say out of the three, this is definitely the more peppery, the more dry spiced in there. Let's not get away from it. All three of these have got Jamaican funk in abundance. I'm gonna have to spend some more time with that and revisit that. I don't know whether it's just bottle pop. You know, I've literally just popped the bottle just before I started filming, and maybe the air might sort of bring out more fruit notes that have just sort of, you know, because that's been trapped there. The esters, the alcohol has been trapped in that bottle. Maybe that just needs time. But the fruit comparison, there's absolutely no comparison. That WRAY Nephew is a neat sipper. Not that you want to really sip these neat, but it's a neat sipper that delivers way more up my street than what that does. That is, I can see what that would do for cocktails, but that is not on my palate. And I'm actually quite disappointed by that, because the smell is amazing. I just want that to taste how that smells. Yes, there is a bit of fruit on there. You have to really sort of play with it over the roof, over the top of your tongue to bring those fruit notes out. That would be really interesting to play with that in a few weeks or so, and come back to revisit, let a bit of air, let that mature a bit. But at the moment, it has to be the WRAY. Now, one Rum Mai Tai time. And this is why I think there is still a massive argument for having 2, 3 of similar category rums in your repertoire, because my favourite neat sipper out of these, not that I'm endorsing these as neat sippers, but they are pretty tasty, is the WRAY Nephew. We've established that. My least favourite one Rum Mai Tai is the WRAY Nephew. That just, it's tasty. And yes, I've done it, as always, got the calculator out and done it. So the same, so we've got a similar ABV and ratio wise as what the Worthy 109 was, because that's my go-to Mai Tai there at the moment. You know, this just doesn't deliver at all. Same alcohol strength. Yes, if we bumped it just very, very slightly, let's just bump it. Just ever so slightly. And yes, I'm getting a bit off, maybe a bit too much. Getting a bit off the experimental time, but I've done the experiment. I've done the proper experiment. So bumping up the ABV, it's still not quite what I want. It's tasty. It's a fruity Mai Tai. It's a kind of, you know, actually, do you know what? My head is going towards, if you like your pineapple Mai Tais, you know, where you do maybe swap the Pierre Ferrand dry curacao for like a pineapple, like Chiffon Caribbean pineapple, or maybe a 50-50 blend with plantation Stiggins Fancy. If you do a pineapple Mai Tai, do you know what? That would go quite nice to bump the ABV up. I kind of, that's where my head sits for that. But the pick of the three, the rum bar is decent. It is. The pick of the three in a one rum Mai Tai is that Hampden Rum Fire. It's got the kick. Bearing in mind, they're all 63% ABVs. Bearing in mind, I've measured these out all exactly the same, including the Mai Tai mix. You know, the Rum Fire just punches way out. It's just an incredible rum. And this is going to be fascinating, doing this in head-to-head with cocktails. And so many experiments are going to need to be had now when I do different cocktails. But while that is close, while that is fantastic, I still love what that Worthy 109 brings to one rum Mai Tai. It's got the flavour, but it's got the depth of character. It's got that sort of dark wood, sort of charcoaly kind of, almost sort of roasted chocolate. This is a superb one rum Mai Tai, it really is. As I've said, you know, if money was no object, I would probably go back to the Hampden 8-year-old. But for less than half the price, if you're comparing 70cl to 70cl, that Worthy 109 is still, for me, where my money is. Absolutely delicious, but there's a good shout for the Rum Fire. Lots more experiment needs doing, but at face value, here's what I can surmise for this video. I think I would not bother replacing, at where I am at the moment, not bother replacing the rum bar. But I think I need to do more experiments with different cocktails because I'm not going to sip these neat. There might be the occasion where that, but you know, there will be 15ml additions in cocktails. So it's the thing is, do they bring different things to those cocktails, or can we just get away with one? That's a question for another day. But at the moment, I'm kind of dismissing, which I'm a bit loath to do, but I'm kind of dismissing that, the rum bar. But very, very different overproof rums, those two, the WRAY Nephew and the Rum Fire. I can see why both have got fans. I can see why the Rum Fire has got fans and just like think that poos all over the other two. But for someone like me with a fruity lighter palate, I do prefer that WRAY Nephew.